I was once a doctor. On the eve of my engagement, I was kidnapped by the family of an irate patient, and they shattered my hands. I could never hold a scalpel again. My fiancée left me, only to marry my childhood friend, Li Qingmu. But Qin Juanjuan, the girl I'd known since we were children, never abandoned me. She supported my decision to teach at the university, and eventually, we walked down the aisle together. For decades, we supported each other through thick and thin. Until today, our 30th wedding anniversary. I stood outside our door, holding flowers and a gift, wanting to surprise my wife. Instead, I overheard her talking to Li Qingmu. "Qingmu," she said, "I got Hanhai's medical report. He has late-stage lung cancer. Feng Fong is dead too. We can finally get married soon." Li Qingmu complained, "But I don't want to live with Yun Xian. If he finds out we chose to save Weeha first back then, causing his permanent leg disability, he'll definitely resent us. In Hanhai's hands. If he knew I was the one who snatched that department head position from him." My wife's voice was cold, cruel. I raised Yun Xian. He should have yielded to his younger brother at that critical moment. Weeha is my child too. Weeha was in mortal danger then. I couldn't favor one over the other. As for Hanhai, if heaven wants to take him, can I stop it? Looking after him for 30 years is more than anyone could expect. He's dying early because he was never satisfied. Clutching the flowers and gift, my body went rigid. All those vows of undying love, all that meticulous care, it was all a sham. I staggered, my heart feeling like it was being crushed by a giant hand. Every breath sent tremors of pain through me. I couldn't stop shaking, my hands spasming uncontrollably. The flower stems oozed juice where I gripped them tight. Vaya. Wasn't he Feng Fong and Li Qingmu's child? After Feng Fong abandoned me before our wedding, we never saw her again. Only Li Qingmu would visit our home. How could this be? Tears streamed down my face without warning, dripping onto my scar-covered hands. Their voices didn't stop. My wife said, "You and Weeha have no one to look after you now. Just move in here for now. I'll take care of you both. Make up for everything I owe you over the years." "Owe them? What about what you owe me?" Li Qingmu hesitated. Juan, that doesn't seem right. Hanhai won't agree, and I'm worried about Yun Xian." Qin Juanjuan scoffed. "What's the big deal? You're both going to live in this house eventually anyway. He's a dying man. The sooner he dies, the sooner he frees up space. Yun Xian is an adult now. When the time comes, let him move out on his own." I couldn't bear it anymore. The pain in my hands, in my heart. The flowers and gift crashed to the floor with a thud. My hands spasmed, twisting like grotesque claws. Tears carved paths through the wrinkles on my face, mocking me for foolishly loving this venomous woman for 30 years. Weeha's injuries back then weren't even serious. He didn't need treatment first. Yet they left Yun Xian alone at the crash site, left him permanently disabled. I must have made a noise. The two of them came out nervously to check. Seeing me, Qin Juanjuan instantly tensed, then rushed over, cradling my hands with feigned tenderness. Hanhai, are your hands hurting again?" My face contorted in a snarl. She looked heartbroken, on the verge of tears. "Hanhai, why haven't your hands gotten any better all these years? It hurts you like this every single time?" Her well-manicured hands gently brushed over the raised, jagged scars. The touch instantly brought back the memory of shattering agony. Pain surged from my arms into my heart. The memory of those blows breaking my bones, over and over, made me unable to stand. I collapsed onto the scattered flowers and gift. "Qingmu, quick, help me!" Qin Juanjuan cried out anxiously. Li Qingmu hurried over, and together they half-carried, half-dragged me into the bedroom. Lying in bed, pain racked my body, tears and mucus streaming down my face. Qin Juanjuan spoke softly, her voice gentle. "Hanhai, get some rest. Don't cry." Li Qingmu tugged her hand from behind her back. Realization seemed to dawn on her face. "Old Tian," she said, addressing me with a familiar term that now felt like a sting. "I need to discuss something with you. Now that Fong has passed away, Qingmu and Weeha have no one to look after them." She continued, "We all grew up together, childhood friends. Let them stay with us for a while. It's like honoring our bond from youth." I was in too much pain to speak, desperately shaking my head no. Qin Juanjuan's face hardened, her expression turning sour with displeasure. "Look at yourself, old Tian. You can't do anything. There are two able-bodied men. They can help me with things. Much better than you when you have one of your episodes and become completely useless. I'm not dead yet. Qin Juanjuan made the final decision, completely ignoring my frantic refusal. "Don't be so selfish. You didn't get promoted to department head back then. Later, it was thanks to Qingmu getting the position that Yun Xian's life was even saved. My heart felt like it was crushed into pieces, convulsing along with the blood pumping violently through it. 30 years. 30 years of devotion, and all it earned me was being called selfish. Qin Juanjuan pulled Li Qingmu away, leaving the room. I lay on the bed like a corpse, utterly alone, utterly ignored. The pain came and went, lasting for varying lengths of time. It wasn't physical, not really. It was a sickness of the mind. I blamed myself intensely. I hadn't become the department head, only managing to teach basic theory at the university. My hands prevented any chance of promotion. Even when my son had his car accident, I was completely useless. The agony slowly faded. I pushed myself up, hearing their voices outside the door. Wei asked, "Shouldn't we call Uncle Tian for dinner?" Qin Juanjuan sounded impatient. "Don't bother with him. He'll come out when he's done hurting." The door opened. It was Yun Xian. "Mom, where's Dad?" Qin Juanjuan replied. "In his room, making a fuss about his hands again." Yun Xian walked towards my room and opened the door. His summer shorts made his prosthetic leg starkly visible. Yun Xian frowned, looking at me. "Dad, are your hands hurting again?" It felt like all the tears I hadn't shed in decades were about to spill out today. Yun Xian panicked. "Dad, what's wrong? Let's find another doctor for your hands." He flailed, completely at a loss. I composed myself, tear tracks still wet on my face. "Yun Xian, if Qin Juanjuan and I divorced, would you come live with me?" Yun Xian grabbed my hand, bewildered. "Dad, what's going on? You and Mom have been married for 30 years. What old grudges could possibly lead to divorce now? You're not young anymore." He lowered his head, muttering, "Besides, who would support you if you divorced? If it weren't for the university lecturer title, you'd be on welfare by now. Who would want you?" I looked at Yun Xian, this son who suddenly felt like a stranger, dressed head to toe in designer brands. "Your mother insisted on having Uncle Li and Wei He move in." Yun Xian yanked his hand away from mine. The sudden movement sent a jolt of pain through me, making me flinch. "Dad, you're being completely unreasonable. Aunt Feng died. Uncle Li and Wei, he have no one to look after them. Weren't you two childhood friends? How can you be so heartless? Besides, Uncle Li is about to become vice dean. And don't forget your hands and my leg. Wasn't it Uncle Li who pulled strings to get things sorted?" Yun Xian looked at me with disappointment, shaking his head. His eyes were filled with incomprehension, bordering on disgust. He turned and left. That look extinguished my last shred of hope. My wife, my son, they had both sided with the homewrecker. There was no place for me in this house. I sat on the bed and replied to the research institute that had sent me countless invitations. "I accept the position." The reply came quickly. "Someone will come to pick you up tomorrow, Professor Tian." I put down my phone and walked out. The four of them were sitting together, laughing and talking, looking just like a perfect family. I tried to clench my fists, but my hands wouldn't fully close. I don't agree to them moving in. Perhaps I still held onto one last sliver of hope. Hope that Yun Xian and Qin Juanjuan would stand by me. Qin Juanjuan slammed her chopsticks down. "Tian Hanhai, stop being unreasonable. I bought this house with the money from my shop. I decide who lives here." I bit my tongue, desperately wanting to ask, "Qin Juanjuan, did you ever really love me?" Yun Xian said, "Dad, I've already accepted Uncle Li as my godfather. We're all family now." From an angle hidden from the others, Li Qingmu shot me a provocative, mocking smile. It seemed to say, "Old Tian, you wasted half your life, and now your wife and son are mine. Even the department head position you wanted is mine." Rage surged through me. I lifted my foot, wanting nothing more than to kick that hypocritical smirk right off Li Qingmu's face. But Wei He suddenly lunged forward, taking the full force of the kick. Everyone instantly panicked. Qin Juanjuan rushed forward and slapped me hard across the face. Blood immediately trickled from the corner of my mouth. "Tian Hanhai, I was truly mistaken about you." I opened my mouth, but only blood flowed out. Qin Juanjuan slapped me again. She roared, "How could you be so harsh with a child? You're a disgrace as a father. I think you're losing your mind. You shouldn't go out to work anymore. You're just misleading students." I tried to explain, but Yun Xian shoved me, sending me sprawling. My hand hit the ground awkwardly, and sharp pain shot through it. "I don't have a father like you. I'm disowning you." Yun Xian turned to Li Qingmu. "Dad, let's take Wei He and little brother back to their room first." The others helped Wei He back to his room. Only I remained in the living room, along with the cooling dishes. Tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. I raised a hand to wipe them away. When I looked at my hand, I saw several white hairs. In that moment, I understood. I shouldn't waste any more time in this house. What little time I have left should be dedicated to my country. Pulling myself together, I sent my resignation letter to my superior. I took out the research results from all these years, packed them into a briefcase, and tucked it away inside the shoe cabinet. Returning towards the bedroom, I saw Li Qingmu and Qin Juanjuan in the master bedroom. Li Qingmu sighed. Brother Han Hai is pushing us away like this. Maybe we should just leave? It's humiliating for a vice dean like me to be treated this way. Qin Juanjuan took Li Qingmu's hand, comforting him gently. Qingmu, don't think like that. He's dying anyway. Doesn't have many days left. We'll just send him straight to a nursing home. With the certificate you can issue and my status as his legal wife, he won't get treatment there and will die quickly. I'll have fulfilled my marital duties then. Li Qingmu's eyes filled with affection. Xiaowan, you've always been in my heart. Back then, it was Feng Fangfang who forced my hand, using her influence over my promotion to make me marry her. Qin Juanjuan blushed, deeply moved. She wrapped her arms around Li Qingmu's waist like a young girl. I've loved you since I was 16. Now, we can finally be together. Li Qingmu kissed the corner of Qin Juanjuan's mouth. Just one thing. I can never find his research data from back then. I heard the Institute is looking for related materials recently. This would be a great opportunity for promotion. I'm afraid he won't be willing. Qin Juanjuan kissed his neck passionately. Don't worry about him not talking. Just show him a hammer, and he'll wet his pants in fear. Break one of his hands. I bet he'll confess then. Li Qingmu beamed, scooped Qin Juanjuan up, and carried her to the bed. I clutched my chest with both hands, unable to watch anymore. That research. It was my betrothal gift back then. Juanjuan, I'd said, this data is enough to change the course of brain research. It's priceless. This is my deepest confession of love to you. Qin Juanjuan had been unmoved. How could I understand any of this? You just keep it. I don't want some priceless treasure. I just want us to truly love each other. I fled to the bathroom, tears streaming as I coughed violently. Each cough was louder than the last, my breath rattling like a broken bellows, my face flushed an unnatural red. Finally, I coughed up blood. Yun Xian opened the door and saw me in this wretched state. Tian Han Hai, you're disgusting. The pain of collapse and betrayal overwhelmed me, and I couldn't stop myself from shouting. Your mother is having an affair, and you still want to call Li Qingmu your godfather. Yun Xian pushed me aside and turned on the tap to wash his hands. Godfather is younger than you, and he's about to become vice dean. Look at you, just a university lecturer your whole life. Godfather can give me a good job. What about you? You're useless. Always sick. Just a burden. It's generous enough that Mom found someone else who's still willing to support you. Don't push your luck. My hands trembled. The betrayal, the misunderstandings. None of it compared to the despair of being humiliated by my own son. I sobbed, your leg. That's right. My leg. Godfather arranged the surgery for my leg. What did you do? You're a cripple. Couldn't even perform surgery on your own son. I collapsed to the floor, clutching my head and weeping bitterly. My son snorted contemptuously and turned away, leaving. Yun Xian's words were like a vast abyss, swallowing the last glimmer of light within me. The next day, they locked me in the house. Qin Juanjuan left me with a final sentence. Give us the research data from back then, and we'll let you out. I stared blankly at the door. I took the briefcase from its hiding place in the shoe cabinet, repeating a silent vow in my heart. We will never meet again. A frantic call came from a nursing home doctor to Qin Juanjuan. Mrs. Qin, your husband. He's disappeared. Qin Juanjuan's heart skipped a beat. A dull ache pulsed within her chest, as if she'd lost something precious. Yet she said coldly, impossible. He must have had an episode. He's probably collapsed somewhere. No, that's not it, the doctor said quickly. The door was open when we arrived. We've searched the entire house and haven't found him. Qin Juanjuan was incredulous. Impossible. He's a university professor. How could he just slip away like that? Find him. Qin Juanjuan pulled out another phone and frantically dialed his number, but just kept ringing, unanswered. Impossible. He loves me so much. How could he leave me? Suddenly, memories of when they first married flooded Qin Juanjuan's mind. Qin Juanjuan was always busy with work, often coming home late. Tian Hanhai's hands hadn't regained much function, but he insisted on cooking for her every day, his hands covered in burn blisters. He'd wait for her to get home from work, grinning adoringly, and say, I really am Juanjuan's perfectly devoted husband. Qin Juanjuan would smile sweetly and kiss him. He loves me so much. He cooked for me even when his hands hurt so badly. He would never leave me. Just then, Qin Juanjuan's phone rang. It was Li Qingmu. Juanjuan, I heard Tian Han Hai is missing. Don't panic. Go home first and look for the documents. I've already reported it to the police. They'll definitely find him. Qingmu, you have to help me. When Hanhai has an episode, it's very dangerous. Try not to worry. I'll do everything I can. Just don't forget to look for those documents. Li Qingmu's falsely warm reassurances calmed Qin Juanjuan slightly. Yin Xian walked over. Mom, is Dad acting up again? Qin Juanjuan forced the words out. Your dad. He's gone. He's missing. Yin Xian paused and scoffed. What a petty man. He probably found out you were cheating and lost it. Qin Juanjuan collapsed onto a stool, her brow furrowed. What did you just say? Yin Xian took a disdainful sip of water. He probably saw you with Uncle Li. I told him off. Acting like a child, running away from home when he's practically got one foot in the grave. Qin Juanjuan slapped Yin Xian hard across the face. Yin Xian stared, clutching his cheek in disbelief. Mom, you hit me. He has late-stage lung cancer. Qin Juanjuan cried, falling apart. He doesn't have much time left. How could you say that about your father? A flicker of remorse crossed Yin Xian's face, but he immediately shot back. You and Uncle Li were the ones planning to send him to a nursing home. Qin Juanjuan choked, speechless. His hands. They always hurt so much. Sometimes so much he couldn't even sleep. Where could he have gone? How could he possibly leave me? I was only trying to do what was best for him, she retorted defensively. Who knew he'd be so stubborn, acting so rashly at his age? Wiping away her tears, Qin Juanjuan stood up. I'm going to find your Uncle Li. He knows a lot of people. He'll be able to find Hanhai. Yin Xian just shrugged, indifferent. Afraid of traffic, Qin Juanjuan hopped on her electric scooter and headed towards the hospital. As she rode, memories of her time with Tian Hanhai surfaced, unbidden. Tian Hanhai proudly introducing her to all his colleagues as his beloved wife. Tian Hanhai dragging his exhausted body, hands racked with pain, just to cook for her. Tian Hanhai on their wedding day, insisting on carrying her over the threshold, even though his hands could barely support any weight. Tears of regret streamed down Qin Juanjuan's face. Suddenly, the door of a parked car swung open right her path. Qin Juanjuan was thrown from her scooter instantly. An oncoming car ran her over completely. She didn't even have time to scream. Qin Juanjuan forced her eyes halfway open, the insistent beeping of machines filling her ears. Agony racked her body, making each breath a struggle. Blood trickled from her ears. Dimly, she heard two voices talking. A female doctor spoke. Vice Director Li, Qin Juanjuan has comminuted fractures in both arms and legs and severe intracranial hemorrhaging. Even if we operate, she'll likely end up in a vegetative state. Should we contact her family? Get their input? Li Qingmu curtly refused. No, we have to save her. Hearing this man, whom she also loved, speak with such firm conviction, Qin Juanjuan was moved to tears. I didn't love the wrong person. A man like Tian Hanhai was never worthy of her love. Only Li Qingmu was her true love. I haven't gotten Tian Hanhai's research data yet. Li Qingmu continued, his voice low. She can't die, especially now that Tian Hanhai has disappeared. The word struck Qin Juanjuan like lightning. The pain in her lungs made every breath feel like torture. The female doctor pressed. So, if she wakes up, are you still going to marry her? I'm carrying your child, you know. Li Qingmu scoffed. Are you kidding? She's 50 years old. Why would I marry an old woman like that? I was just stringing her along. His voice softened slightly as he turned to the doctor. My heart is with you. I was only with her for the data. He added coldly, including back then, Qin Yunshuan's leg could have been saved. But who asked her to hire people to smash Tian Hanhai's hand? Besides, Qin Yunxian isn't even my son. He finished dismissively. She reaped what she sowed. Qin Juanjuan gasped raggedly through her oxygen mask, her eyes wide and bloodshot. In that instant, her world, her love, collapsed around her. She had given so much, only to be treated like a fool, a clown to be toyed with. A strangled, guttural sound escaped her throat. Phlegm clogged the opening of the intubation tube, bubbling with each desperate breath. The tube prevented her from speaking, but her eyes remained fixed, burning into Li Qingmu. The man she had loved for 40 years. He was nothing but a monster. Yunshuan's leg. Yunshuan's leg. They had been in the car accident together. They had prioritized saving Weeha because his life was in immediate danger. Why? Why? Li Qingmu turned back to her, his expression shifting instantly into one of feigned concern, the mask of a wolf in sheep's clothing. He frowned slightly. Juan, he said softly, do you know where Tian Hanhai kept his research data? Qin Juanjuan's eyes blazed red. She struggled against her restraints, the recently scabbed wounds on her eyelids splitting open again, blood mingled with tears streaming down her face. Li Qingmu gently wiped the blood and tears from her cheeks, his voice full of fake tenderness. Juanjuan, the higher-ups want Tian Hanhai's research data. If I get it, I'll be promoted 3 ranks. Then Weeha and Yunxian can get any job they want, and we can finally get married. A harsh, wheezing sound came from Qin Juanjuan's intubation tube, only faint puffs of air escaping. She nodded slowly, her lips moving. Li Qingmu leaned down eagerly, placing a hand over the opening of the tube to hear better, pressing his ear close to her lips. Tell me, Juanjuan, just tell me, and I'll mobilize the entire hospital to save you. I promise. NGH. NGH. I hate you. Her bloodshot eyes, blazing red, flashed with pure hatred and vicious regret. With a surge of strength, Qin Juanjuan lunged forward and clamped her teeth down on Li Qingmu's ear. Li Qingmu screamed in agony, struggling frantically but unable to break free. The female doctor panicked, grabbing him and pulling him backward. Let go! Li Qingmu howled. Qin Juanjuan, let go of me. All of Qin Juanjuan's hatred poured into that bite, fueled by the last dregs of her strength. She bit down with savage finality. Finally, the doctor managed to wrench Li Qingmu away. He shrieked in pain. Clenched between Qin Juanjuan's teeth was half of his ear. Qin Yunxian stood frozen at the ICU door, tears streaming down his face. He crumpled to the floor, all strength seeming to drain from his body. Dad, he choked out. What have I done? In the office, Li Qingmu, clutching his bandaged ear, summoned Li Weeha. When Qin Juanjuan wakes up, get the location of Tian Hanhai's research data out of her. Tian Hanhai loved her so much. She has to know. Li Weeha picked at his ear. It's not like I'm her real son. Li Qingmu struck him across the face, his eyes cold and vicious. I didn't hire you to hear this. Would I have found you if the real Weeha hadn't died in that accident? Now get going. Li Weeha bit his lip in humiliation and nodded. Outside the door, Qin Yunxian stood with a cold expression, turning off his phone's voice recorder. Qin Juanjuan woke up in the ICU, tubes snaking across her body. Once meticulously cared for, she now looked 70 years old. Li Weeha walked in carrying a bowl of millet porridge, with Li Qingmu following behind. Mom! Seeing her child, Qin Juanjuan's tears instantly streamed down her face. At least she still had one child she hadn't wronged, a child from her own womb. Qin Yunxian walked over, his prosthetic limb glinting mechanically. He raised his hand and knocked the millet porridge over, scalding Qin Juanjuan, making her snatch her hand back. Mom, is Li Weeha really your biological son? As if he'd hit a nerve, Qin Juanjuan's gaze flickered evasively. Li Qingmu quickly stepped forward to smooth things over. You're both Juanjuan's children. There's no difference. Qin Juanjuan hated Li Qingmu, but he had a point. She might have to rely on both sons from now on. She gave a hesitant nod. Qin Yunxian burst out laughing, his laughter dripping with sarcasm. He played the recording. It's not like I'm her real son. I didn't hire you to hear this. Would I have found you if the real Weeha hadn't died in that accident? Now get going. The air froze for a moment. As the meaning slowly dawned on Qin Juanjuan, her eyes widened with fury. Her fractured hands reached out from the bed, trying to grab Li Qingmu's clothes. Li Qingmu's expression turned ugly. Realizing he'd been exposed, he straightened his white coat and said bluntly, I only got close to you for the data. Don't waste my time. From now on, all you'll have left is Qin Yunxian. Can a cripple like him even find a job? Without me, none of you can survive. Qin Yunxuan's face darkened. My dad had a terminal illness. Couldn't you have just waited? You just had to drive him away. Kill him. Li Qingmu laughed out loud. A family of idiots. Hurry up. Where's the data? Qin Juanjuan finally remembered the research data, and that shy confession. Juanjuan, this data could revolutionize neurological research. It's priceless. This is my deepest confession of love to you. Qin Juanjuan couldn't hold back anymore and sobbed uncontrollably. But because of the intubation tubes, the sounds she made were like tormented moans from the depths of hell, ugly and grating. A brilliant smile spread across Qin Yunxuan's face. He pulled out a fruit knife and stabbed Li Qingmu in the neck. Li Qingmu clutched his throat, staring in disbelief at the blood on his hands as he slowly sank to his knees. Don't want us to live? Then you won't live either. Qin Yunxian, like a madman, frantically stabbed Li Qingmu again and again with the fruit knife. Blood pooled on the floor. The stunned Li Weeha finally snapped out of it. He scrambled away, fleeing, stumbling and crawling, screaming, "Help! Qin Juanjuan's gone crazy. He's gone mad. He killed someone. The director is dead. Help! Help me!" Qin Juanjuan watched the pale Li Qingmu lying on the ground, still stubbornly clutching his neck. A faint smile touched her lips. Her mouth moved, forming words with only breath. It's retribution. Clutching my briefcase, I called the research institute. "I'm locked in. I can't get out." I gave him my address. 10 minutes later, I heard a knock. "Professor Tian," a voice called. "Yes, it's me," I yelled back. The person outside seemed to be using some kind of tool. Moments later, the door opened. A sharp-looking young man stood there. He looked a bit surprised. "Professor Tian, don't you need to grab anything else?" I stepped out of the apartment without looking back. "This is everything I have." When I arrived at the institute, the director grasped my hand, his eyes welling up with emotion. "Professor Tian, we've finally found you." I smiled gratefully and immediately submitted a report detailing my physical condition. The higher-ups took it very seriously, instantly assigning someone to take me for a medical examination. The doctor breathed a sigh of relief after reviewing the results. "Professor Tian, you're in excellent health overall. It's just your hand." He paused. "There's a very fine needle lodged between the bones in your hand. It was likely a medical accident. This needle is the reason for the recurring pain you've experienced. We'll schedule surgery immediately. Afterward, you should regain about 80% of your hand function, and the chronic pain will definitely stop." I stare at my hand. 30 years. Every year, my checkups showed improving health, yet the pain in my hand grew worse. Once again, I found myself lying in an operating room. My mind drifted back 30 years. Back in university, I excelled in my studies, and my professor brought me onto a neurological research project focused on brain regeneration, specifically finding ways to awaken patients in vegetative states. My professor was obsessed with the research, completely oblivious to the potential dangers. And I was just as naive, utterly clueless. Just before my engagement, my professor was in a terrible car accident. As he lay dying, he told me, "Shanghai, foreign powers. They're after our research. After I'm gone, you'll be the only one left." He gasped for breath. "Protect the data. You can only entrust it to someone you trust completely, until the organization finds you." Clutching the research materials, I tearfully said goodbye to my mentor. Shortly after, I was in a car accident myself. Both my hands suffered comminuted fractures, ending my career as a doctor. Back then, the person I trusted most in the world was Qin Juanjuan. I was terrified that if something happened to me, this potentially world-changing research would fall into the hands of spies. But Qin Juanjuan refused to take it. So, I had no choice but to wait alone for the organization to contact me. Finally, just before our 30th wedding anniversary, the organization made contact. Overjoyed, I headed home with flowers and gifts, ready to celebrate our anniversary and share the wonderful news with her. Instead, I walked into the utter collapse of my world. The doctor looked at me. "Professor Tian, how does your hand feel now?" I snapped back to the present, wiggling my fingers. They felt stiff, but moved smoothly. I smiled. "Much better. You'll still need physical therapy," he advised. Later, the institute director found me. "Professor Tian, you've suffered a great injustice. The old professor's project was never officially reported, yet somehow foreign agents still caught wind of it. The old professor, he was my teacher too. Qin Juanjuan is currently bedridden," the director continued. "Once she recovers, she will face legal judgment." He sighed. "And Yunxian stabbed Li Qingmu and is suspected of intentional homicide. However, since he turned himself involuntarily, the court is likely to grant him leniency." I nodded. From that point on, I dedicated my entire life to scientific research. My assistant is a cheerful young woman. I'd always wished I had a daughter too. She's always dragging me over to show me the latest news. "Uncle Tian, look, the vice president of Victory Hospital broke up someone's family and was stabbed, seriously injured by the original wife's son." My eyes flicked over. It was Li Qingmu. The young woman fussed. "Huh? The news article vanished. I can't find it anymore. That's outrageous." I just shook my head, silent. Just then, the director of the research institute burst in, all flustered. "Old Tian, how much longer until this research starts showing some results?" I frowned slightly. "This isn't something we can rush. My mentor and I are still in the theoretical phase. Making the leap from animal to human trials will take a long time." The director waved his hand, annoyed. Two young men, carrying loaded firearms, wheeled someone in. My assistant gasped, "Isn't that The vice president from the news. I stared at the director, astonished. With a grim face, the director ordered everyone else out. Soon, only the director, myself, and Li Qingmu, lying on a medical bed, were left. Li Qingmu, whose real name is Aoki Yoda, is a spy they've been grooming since childhood. He orchestrated the old professor's murder, and he's also the one who forged the documents diagnosing you with terminal lung cancer. I quelled my shock, my gaze complex, as I looked at this man I considered childhood friend. We need you to apply this technology to him first. He'll be our key to launching counterintelligence operations. I nodded, accepting the immense responsibility. For the next 5 years, I never once stepped outside the laboratory. I worked a minimum of 15 hours a day, even taking my meals right there. The day Li Qingmu, no, Aoki Yoda, regained consciousness was October 1st. His eyes fluttered, blinking rapidly. Using an atrophied tongue and stiff vocal cords, he managed a hoarse whisper, "Baba, Mama." So, he truly wasn't Chinese after all. As he became more lucid, his eyes focused on me. His body began to tremble violently, convulsing. Years confined to a bed had wasted him away. He was skeletal, little more than skin stretched taut over bone. His eyes flooded with shock and terror. He just died. His voice was slurred, indistinct, but the hatred blazing in his eyes was unmistakable. Their will to destroy us persists. The path ahead for our generation is long and arduous. That very afternoon, personnel from another department came and took Aoki Yoda away. The director was overjoyed, his eyes welling up with tears. "Old Tian, you simply cannot imagine how many lives this research of yours will save." He quickly ducked his head, wiping his eyes with his sleeve, though his nose remained conspicuously red. It looked like he was embarrassed I might see him. He clapped me firmly on the shoulder. "I'm giving you a vacation. 7 whole days." My assistant quipped from the side, "But the National Day holiday is already 7 days." The vice director took my assistant and me hiking up Mount Tai. The place was swarming with people, a sea of faces. We took a break at the South Heavenly Gate. The vice director chuckled. "Folks in our line of work can forget about traveling abroad." I smiled and shook my head. This is already the best we could ask for. Suddenly, my assistant nudged me with her elbow. "Look at that mother and son. They seem kind of odd." I followed her line of sight. I froze. It was Qin Juanjuan and Yunxian. Her hair was shot through with white, her face deeply lined with wrinkles. She looked impossibly old. Her heavy eyelids drooped, half hiding dull, yellowish eyes. Noticing my gaze, she became instantly agitated, waving a withered, heavily wrinkled hand. Then with a soft thud, she dropped to her knees and began kowtowing repeatedly. Yunxian's face was already streaked with tears. He mouthed the words over and over. "Father, I'm so proud of you." I suddenly remembered coming to Mount Tai with Qin Juanjuan right after we were married. There's a saying that couples not truly destined for each other would break up after climbing down the mountain. I'd laughed it off as superstition, taking her hand and saying, "Our love is eternal. Long live the motherland." No room for superstitions. Looking back at their tear-streaked faces filled with regret, I lower my head, a faint smile touching my lips as I shook my head slowly. My gaze drifted towards the summit of Mount Tai, and I murmured under my breath, "Love may perish, but the motherland endures."